Welcome to the Blue Collar Boardroom, my
What's
man.
up? Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, Richie Kidwell is the owner of AQA. They are an environmental engineering and consulting firm, and with all the different winter storm damage and all the different insurance restoration contractors that follow me, plumbers that follow me, roofers that are getting into water mitigation, Texans that are getting into water mitigation, I thought it would
Those
be...
driving to Texas who's doing water mitigation?
Yeah, those driving to Texas about to do water mitigation. Everybody's getting into the water mitigation business. And so... Richie, what's the definition of water mitigation?
Man, I in our industry, it's really the full service is what it's become. It's no longer just leaving a machine there. I mean, it's the paperwork industry standard that has been set. I mean, it really is, a full service where you're not only you're mitigating the amount of damages that occurred from the water loss, whether it be a roof, whether it be an AC leak, or your other common ways that water intrusion comes in the home or building, commercial structure, whichever, to be able to mitigate, knowing where it came from, what type of category of water, what type of class, so we can really understand what we need to do outside of just stabilizing the environment. So, I mean, it's a long answer, but I mean, you're really doing a lot. You have to have a lot of knowledge to be able to really call yourself a water mitigation guy. I mean, we've all heard of IICRC. We all have heard of maybe Ken Larson and structural drying. Those types of things are great resources. In Florida, we live in a state that
we're losing them on the water talk here. Here's
You're
the
losing
job,
it.
people. Pipe explodes, water goes all over the fucking house, and now their shit's fucked up. Insurance company won't pay, and contractor says it's real expensive. So
Yep.
Lots of different contractors are watching this. They're trying to get in the business. What's the biggest mistake these guys make getting into this business?
Man, just not having that background and knowledge of knowing how to, like I said, properly mitigate that loss, know where it's coming from. Do I need an asbestos test? Is it 1978 or before? Is it a commercial structure with more than 4 domiciles inside? I mean, you really have to know your thing, because the contractor and the homeowner are the two that are more responsible for knowing that kind of stuff, especially when you're dealing in Florida.
Well, let me give you a little background, guys. Maybe you recognize Richie's company, AQA, from Large Loss Secrets. It was in Pensacola that I was out there on a large loss hunt. And, I was actually basically...
I think you were on the roof of the Chevy dealership.
Oh, yeah. Literally,
I climbed up there. I'm like, hey, what's going on, man?
That was actually 2 hurricanes ago. So we'll tell you how we met. It was 2 hurricanes ago. I landed a big job. It was a big Chevy dealership after Hurricane Michael. Richie comes up. Since then, he's been doing roof engineer reports for us, moisture mapping reports for us, mold testing for us. And the cool thing about AQA is they bill it directly to the insurance company. Yep. They're experts in restoration, and they're actually going to as far as having in-house counsel to make sure that everybody's I's are dotted, T's are crossed. Because when you start cleaning up the mess for people, insurance companies delay, deny, refer responsibility. Tons of money goes out, and then now money to come in, you have to have proof, and that's where my man Richie comes in.
Yep.
Talk to him about, like for me, whenever I sold my first big job, $700,000 job, Pensacola, called him, spent $20,000 on a report. Got a moisture map, right. First and foremost, that's the first step.
That's right.
And walk them through what that all covers.
Right. So on the moisture map, we come in and we're doing that identification, right? First going through with our moisture, their infrared camera, moisture devices, just to kind of get an idea. Obviously, we're going to go to the place where the water came in. We're going to go from there and really design that full plan. Category of water, the class of water, and then the details of what you got to do to make sure you're safe for the workers and for the occupants in there. So whether you need a containment, whether you're dealing with category 3, how you're going to remove that. Are we drying it in place? Are we removing it? Those types of things, that's where we come in as experts.
Biggest thing for me as a contractor was taking on the liability of getting the mold out of the building, and as a company that's a general contractor that's not really certified to do these things, I have to go to the experts to not just tell me where I need to be removing stuff, but also to do tests afterwards and to literally, keep me in line to some extent. See, because on this property, I didn't have all the equipment. I rented the equipment. The biggest challenge on this one was getting into all the different units, because there's a lot of them that were rentals. They wouldn't let us in. But basically, we dried it out so much that they were like, okay, we've had enough of your equipment. I mean, but the bottom line is there's probably still some area that we can go back in there and clean up. Anyways, we're still waiting from the insurance company on this bill. It's a $700,000 bill, and that's what people don't understand. This was a 128 unit complete Cat 3 water damage HOA, and it had Hurricane Sally damage, roof really damaged, obviously from the storm. You'd think they would pay out. That was, almost
at least the water mitigation.
Yeah,
I mean, they know they got to dry the building. I mean, what are they just not saying it's not covered?
No, they agreed that we needed to get it done. They put it in writing that we need to get it done. They didn't necessarily agree with my scope, my price. First, they told us to cover the buildings. They agreed to replace the roof, and then they went backwards.
So you blue tarped it?
Well, no, absolutely not. We used TPO. It was a flat roof, and it was we had to use basically we couldn't secure the fasteners, so we had to go up there and get like patio stones and secure it down with, it was expensive, and right now they're actually going with engineers and taking the TPO off the roof, even though they already agreed that the roof needed to be replaced, and so documentation comes down to everything. The logs that we kept. This is the most important documentation. So,
and they're always going to send in their professionals out every single time. They're going to get their engineer report in. It's like, everything's in 14-day increments, so you get your inspections done and you get them done sooner than later. It's all the times we go to court or litigation later on. And because we were there first, we had the pictures before they did, because they'll send them out when it's at the end of litigation 2 years later. So our reports, if we're there in the beginning, our report's going to not only it's just going to survive. It's going to be a lot better than them coming in 2 years later, especially everybody's doing repairs. I mean, we're doing a hotel up in Panama City. Finally, they're getting the repairs done. The insurance just ordered their inspection last week. And I got there and I was like, dude, here's my report. It's from 2 years ago. Like, you're just now here now. Everything's already remodeled. Everything's repainted, roofs put on. So they have nothing. So we have a much better case, and it's not going to get us settled because we have the better documentation. Documentation wins every time.
Well, what's cool about your documentation is there's a lot of labor involved. You have a lot of qualified people, met a lot of good people from your company in the field. Les, and who's the other guy that came
Travis.
out? Travis. Those guys are some great guys, man. But, the thing is you're putting up a lot of the cost. You're billing the insurance company sort of on the same model that we are on, kind of getting paid when the insurance company approves, and you kind of agree that you're not going to charge extra above what the insurance company is going to pay.
Right.
And for a contractor, it's a really good value add, and you should always, have a guy like this if you're going to get involved in these projects. But, it's not just water restoration that we're in roofs. And here in Florida, we've got basically a big issue down here with these roofs. We've had a lot of hurricane damage over the last few years because we've had a lot of fucking hurricanes.
Yep.
And the insurance companies went 10 years without hurricanes and then paid out. And, they didn't even pay out for the ones that they knew they needed to pay out for. I've been fighting insurance companies on claims they knew they were going to have to pay from this storm, some of them for 3 years. And now, after taking money across the state of Florida, these insurance companies are saying that they want to change the rules. So walk me through some of this upcoming legislation that's bad for contractors.
So, all right, we're talking about Florida here, and I'm the president of the Restoration Association of Florida. I had to start a nonprofit association. I just started using the assignment of benefits. I like the assignment of benefits in Florida and the use of it because it's a true consumer protection. It's been around since early 1900s, and there's really no reasons why everybody should be using it. Anyways, so we had some reform a couple of years ago on the use of the assignment of benefits.
Yeah, they turned the AOB into a zombie AOB.
If you know how to use it. I literally still go around every month. I'm holding one next Thursday, how to use the right proper contract, whether it be a service authorization or an assignment of benefits. Either way, you can be able to, if you're using a service authorization, the ball's not in your court, right? You're only as good as the homeowner's insurance adjuster and or their lawyer, because you have to turn that into a letter of protection. And if they don't hire the right counsel, you're just sitting there waiting. You have no control over your invoice, the timeline. You can't push on it, nothing. So use the assignment of benefits. You're able to then still keep control. The only the nuances on the new AOB laws, you turn in your estimate of your AOB within 3 days. Now, if you're not performing emergency service, you don't need to turn it in within 3 days. You turn in just your AOB, boom, hey, I'm a roofer. Or you get very interested in putting a blue tarp. You have $3,000 max or 1% of policy. So if I was a roofer, every job would be a $3,000 tarp when you get there. And then supplements only have to be sent to the insured and the insurer at the same time. So they tell you the policyholder, hey, make sure you have a good valid email address, because I'm going to send, whenever I get all the estimates done, I have to order all these things, get inspections, and I'll have a full estimate sent to your insurance carrier. I'm going to copy you on it, okay? I'm already going to submit your emergency service invoice. Boom, we'll get that going. So we'll have $3,000 coming in the door. Once that comes in, then they've already had our estimate. Everything's set in place. Now the only new thing you have to do is a 10-day demand, and then with intent to litigate. So if they don't respond within 90 days. Now the new law, since you opened that door, what's proposed now in legislation in Florida is much more concerning. Right now, there's a couple of things that we have in our favor. We have a 10-day intent to litigate. In this new bill that they propose, it'll be a 60-day intent to litigate. And then within that 60 days, and that's after 90 days, all right, their quick pay statute in Florida, which is not fucking quick, all right? So, I mean, they have 30 days to get rid of, an accident claims, right? But I don't understand how property damage takes 90 days. Anyways, so they have 90 days under this new proposed law. It's Senate Bill 76. And it's jumping through the Florida legislation already. It already went through the banking and insurance, has 2 more committees to go through, and it's going to be very difficult for us to stop. So that's why we're going to talk about support later on, and we still have an opportunity to stop all this. So you got a 60-day intent to litigate. You have 30 days additional for the insurance company in case they want to reinspect the claim under this new proposed law. It's not what's current right now. And so then they're going to take 3 years from filing a supplement on a windstorm or a hurricane event, and 5 years on a non-hurricane related event, down to 2 years from the date of loss, no matter what. Supplements, unopened claims, those types of things. So, which we all know that a lot of times when the homeowner files a claim, maybe they go through their own. It takes a while before they finally hire the right professional. Mm-hmm. Well, if you don't get within that 2-year period at all, you don't get that ball rolling, you're screwed. And even supplementals, you get the money to go do the roof, and you find out that all the decking is rotted and the insulation's messed up. I mean, you're not going to be able to supplement it. So that's concerning. You have now this roof surface schedule policy that's allowed to come out, meaning that they can change you. And by the way, we filed an amendment on the Banking and Insurance Committee. We've already started this legislative session, and I had to bring on 2 powerful lobbyists to be able to help this. We got an amendment just to say, hey, let's acknowledge, it's called an acknowledgement amendment, and it just says that the homeowner has to acknowledge that they're buying this shitty policy. Well, that failed. It wasn't friendly. So next time you renew your insurance, they can just give you a roof ACV policy, roof schedule policy, meaning that any roof over 10 years old, you're going to have to pay for it yourself after a windstorm no matter what, and they'll reimburse you 40% of a clay tile roof, 70% on a metal roof, and 25% on all other roofs. So that falls under asphalt shingle, mod bit, any of that. So how is it insured? Minus the total loss. They did put in there if you get a total loss, and that doesn't apply. But I mean, I don't understand how they can do this. And there's other shit in this bill that could be bad. The public adjuster bill came out, House Bill 717, backed by the CFO. That license, and that's a solicitation one that I wanted to bring up. It makes it to where if you knock on a door or talk about insurance-related damage or claims, you have to be a licensed public adjusting firm. They're making a firm now. You can't just be a license holder. Right now, if you want to go and solicit, if you wanted to, you just employ one public adjuster, or like in my case, hire an attorney, right? And then you're absolved from that solicitation or UPPA laws that they put in the AOB bill. The UPPA, unlicensed practice of public adjusting. Mm-hmm. Whether you're an AOB holder or a non-AOB holder, you cannot practice public adjusting without a license.
The insurance companies denied the CFO of Florida's roof. They straight up denied him. And
I don't doubt it.
He's in Panama City. He's a pretty good guy, even though he's got a lot of different policies. But
Jimmy Petronis, he's an interesting guy. Yeah.
Yeah. My point is that they denied their claim. Their roof's destroyed.
What do you know?
We came there to help them. We told them that they were going to need an advocate, and we ended up having to retain an attorney. They hired our recommended attorney, and guess who was hired?
Who was it? Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Don't tell me.
Yeah. Guess.
Mr. Harvey?
Yeah.
Mr. Harvey Cohen.
Can you believe?
That's awesome.
Can you believe?
He was literally the fucking poster boy a couple years ago.
I know, it's hilarious. So let's keep it going.
That's awesome. No, I love the guy. I fucking love Harvey. Are you kidding me?
No, but everybody doesn't know the whole dynamic of that. We do. Yeah. And it's funny how politics can make strange...
isn't that just a weird twist of events? So.
Well, it's because insurance companies are evil and they deny claims, and even when someone's personal property is involved and they have big influence, they can still get negligence involved, and they're always going to side on behalf of the shareholders, not the policyholders. So,
and they always need a boogeyman. They need somebody to point the finger. For years, from 2014 to 2019, it was the AOBs, the reason why policy premiums were going so high every year. And then it's flipped, right? And then it went to attorneys, and now it's the attorneys and the roofers. So there's a lot of stuff on this new bill about attorney's fees. They're trying to make it between even the homeowners and AOB holders. If you don't get between 20 and 80%, if you get under that, the homeowner can be on the hook for fees and costs.
So basically, the insurance companies raise the premiums, they collect more money, they raise the deductibles, they raise profits. They have record-breaking profits, even though record-breaking profits. 10-year no hurricanes in the state of Florida. And continued inflation, everything goes up. And now the new rules start to come out. Now, this is why, to me, insurance companies perpetuate the biggest fraud in America. And I don't know why you think that you consume so much advertisement like a good neighbor, like you're in good hands. Why do you think they spend so much money to tell you that they got your back when in fact,
the messaging, man.
There's so much money up against us contractors, us insurance guys, with banking, with insurance being the lobbyists that fund these guys. There's almost no chance when they want to make these rules. And so,
there's 200 registered lobbyists for the insurance companies.
Yeah.
And there's like literally a handful on the other side.
Well, look, if you're watching this and you want to make a difference, we're going to do something about this nonsensical new law that they have here. We're going to be raising funds for the Restoration Association of Florida to continue to fund this battle. I know that Richie has serviced my company incredibly well with AQA. He's helped me win tons of different lawsuits with insurance companies due to his engineer reports on the roofs. Yep. He's helped me prove water damage and help me, break into this water mitigation business when I really, didn't really know a whole lot about it. And it's all through the expert level support services at his company. And so whenever he came to me and said, Lee, I want your platform to know about these laws, and I want contractors, especially ones that are based in Florida, to do something about it, then look, now's the time. We're going to step up unite at the March 12th and 13th Blue Collar American Dream Conference. Richie's going to be there. We have a big announcement. We're going to be making a big fight back to these lobbyists that are trying to take away our livelihood. But for you, let me tell you what that means. It means that the hybrid roofer is one that does insurance and retail, that really charges the right price and then bills the insurance company later. I mean, the real sell is these claims that we get in the insurance litigation process, say with a good attorney like K&P. They handle most of our work down here. They're very solid. There's been probably 20-30% of our recent jobs where we've said, you know what? Look, you're going through the process. We'll give you a 15% price value guarantee. We'll give you upgrades on underlayment if you'll just go ahead and get this deal done, pay cash. And, we let them settle it out in court and take the difference. And if they are happy and make money on it, fine. But we cut it at our normal, minimum profit margin, 40%. And, a lot of them, 20-30% of them are sick of waiting. And if you sell it right, then they pay cash. And then we offer financing for them too. So people that are having a hard time with cash flow or you have to learn how to sell. We give them two options. We offer them in-house financing. We give them a low monthly payment, 0% interest up to 12 months. Get them a banking, simple application done through a phone. A lot of these people are in South Florida have money, and you just got to tell them, dude, this builds the case. Whenever you replace the roof, the costs incurred, you've done all your due diligence with the report from your company. Yep. Do you think it betters their case if they just go ahead and get the roof replaced?
It depends. First, what type of contract you're using, right? If they're paying you cash, then obviously you're that's what it is, right? Now, how it will help them? Absolutely, it will. Making sure that all the inspections are done, making sure they notify the insurance company, say, hey, last chance, for you to come and make this final inspection, and then put the roof on. Absolutely, it speaks volumes for that. Especially, it'll never go to trial, and if it did, it would be insane. I've never heard of one where a homeowner had put their roof on and they're sitting in front of jury appears.
Well, so that means that most of us insurance roofers who've just said, hey, we'll do the roof for what the insurance company pays, even some of us so bad that they won't pick up a deductible. And if that's you, look, I've done it before. A lot of people are ashamed to admit it. You think Grant Cardone paid his deductible? Nah, dude, let me tell you. No. And he kept the supplement. But, bottom bottom line is that, when you get into this space, you have to learn that you got to learn how to sell, dude. And if you aren't getting the deductible, if you aren't making that customer pay, if you train that customer not to pay you, then you can actually set yourself up to lose, because it's not about what you sell, it's about what you collect. A lot of salesmen out here sell millions of dollars. They don't ever get paid shit because they're not real contractors. What we breed in Sky Diamonds and our RCA and is the real deal. Guys that can stay with a relationship with the client and follow through, handling problems, collections at the end. And do we have support services that handle supplement, that help them with collections, that help them with their paperwork? Yeah. But if they're not there to continue that relationship with the client, then trust is lost a lot of times, you know?
And that's why I'm mentioning, like with using the assignment of benefits on there, you can get not only that emergency in there, but you keep control of that payment. You have your name on it. I know a lot of people are using different contracts or hybrid contracts. What are you guys using right now?
Well, that's a good question. Let's see.
Do you give a choice? A lot of people give a choice too.
No, well, in Alabama it's different. So I was just going to give an example of a HOA that had a contractor on the board that wanted to cancel. I just had this call 15 minutes ago. $700,000 roof approval. It's a complete rebuild, and we got the AOB, and it's an HOA. It's got to be a valid AOB. From the board, voted on through a quorum. Right. And I'm going through this with my guy, and this is why young guys, they need mentorship in selling commercial deals, because he did get the AOB and he doesn't have verified that it was through a quorum. And chances are it may not have been, because I know how we've done other deals. So we hired an attorney after they won out of the deal to, of course, verify that the AOBs with now we've lost contact with the board, but the truth is he could have brought me in on the deal whenever there was an issue. I could have helped made it right then. You learn these lessons. The AOB may protect us, but it's not just about getting the AOB. It's getting the right one and getting it registered with the insurance company. Can you tell them a little bit about how to make sure that doesn't happen?
Sure. First, just like you said, you got to register with that ASAP to the insurance company. Notice is great. Now, one good thing about the emergency $3,000 or 1% of policy doesn't apply to commercial policies, only to residential. So when you're on a large loss, you get the AOB signed. Make sure that there is a meeting about it, or you have a copy of the minutes. That's all you need to have to make sure that sticks as far as that goes. AOB law just has you turn it in within 3 days of signature. So that's it. And you don't have to have your estimates at that point. Again, everything is supplementals once you sign it in, unless you're doing anything, like I said, on the emergency, but it doesn't apply to commercial.
Yeah, well, what we're using for contracts is what I call Texas two-steps. Like service authorization gives me permission to contingent upon approval, I'm going to be the contractor. And, that a lot of times just gets them to say yes. And a lot of times, the second contract that we get signed is an AOB. It does follow the Florida statute. We do get a written estimate to both the insured and to the insurance company within the due time, and we register it with the deals. And that's how we do most of the tile roofs, And when it comes to large commercial deals, if they're uncomfortable with signing an AOB, some of the different ones, then I'll bring an attorney in there with me. I'll get a letter of protection with the attorney, and I'll get a direction of pay with the customer. So basically,
and whatever makes a contractor feel how you want to say, just that they're going to be taken care of on an LOP.
Yeah, like on the deal that I use with y'all, that I use y'all on, that $700,000 water mint deal. It's $5 million total rebuild, and I used a direction of. First of all, we got there, and I got an emergency services contract signed. I got a direction to pay, and they authorized me to do emergency work. Then, we did the board presentation, 11 people. We documented it so everybody could learn from it. I got permission from them to use it as training, and that's where one thing I could actually do is get recording of the minutes. Now I have it on camera,
right?
They gave me permission, so I mean, whether it's on minutes or I got it on camera,
that's right.
I got it. And beyond that, they were uncomfortable with having the assignment of benefit. So I told them, you don't have to sign the assignment of benefit, but I brought in my attorney. Basically after we tried to work with the insurance company had me over a 2 or 3 month time period where the attorney was not, they pretended like they were going to pay for the roof. They left a voicemail saying they were going to give $1.2 million. I was going to try the old hooky dook, get as much as I could covered. As far as, without talking about coverage, of course, estimates. And he agreed to pay to place the roof, but it was going to be windows and doors and all the rest of the stuff we come back for. Well, they just kind of, once they found out we were going to be more aggressive than they wanted, that they were going to pull back everything. That's when we brought in the attorney. That's when we got a letter of protection, which is a letter in all the attorneys' agreements that says that they can't not use me as the contractor, that I have, not only direction to pay, but
yeah, it's basically leaning the claim, so to speak. So you get paid first, so it's just like, in the accident world or whatever, you go to a doctor, they front it after you go to the lawyer, and that kind of thing. And then they get paid first. The homeowner gets the rest. The only problem is how much of that percentage comes out of the indemnity for the policyholder.
It sucks, man, because basically you have to use an attorney on these deals. You have to
unless
use
you sign an AOB, and then you can or an AOC, right? On that large job, then the attorney is baked into the AOC, doesn't touch the indemnity. You know what I mean? So, and I'm kind of like that. The AOC is not dead. A full assignment of claims, different than assignment of benefits, right? Assignment of benefits would be something that's limited to what scope and services you perform.
Claims the whole claim.
Yeah, AOC is the whole claim. I want everything. And you stand in the shoes of the insured for all pieces and parts of the claim. You can literally on Monday sign an AOC, on Tuesday hire Harvey, and he represents your AOB. And then he has the claim, and that money does not come out of the indemnity now.
Yeah. And so that's why it's important for you to have a guy like Richie, who not only going to teach you a lot about water mitigation, but in that world,
I give presentations of boards all the time, and I explain to them, like, listen, either you guys do a special assessment to all of your unit owners because you're going to need X amount of dollars to front this endeavor, or you sign these contracts. You know what I mean? And then if we need to, we have an AOC that you can sign, and we'll bring in the attorney so it doesn't touch your pocket.
So, guys, you're trying to get these high-end residential tile roofs bought. You're trying to do this water mitigation work. You're trying to get commercial roofs bought. Guess what? You can't do it without third-party documentation. You can't do it without written demand. And that's where many of you fail. Many of you fail because you're not organized. You don't like to write emails. You don't like to do any of the paperwork. And you know what? If that's you, then don't worry. I'm just like you.
And don't wait a year to file suit. I mean, day 91, that the notice needs to be in, or 14 days of them ghosting you, you can set your 10-day demand. So I've seen large loss contractors. The biggest fail they would let the insurance company just send them little updates every couple of months, and they're like, oh, we're getting closer, we're gonna do this, and then finally 2 years later, and then they're filing suit, and then it takes another 2 or 3 years. It's like, dude, let's start this clock a lot faster. That's why you got 90 days, but within that, you can hammer them with all the documentations, and you reverse them. Say, listen, here's all this paperwork. You have 14 days to push your chess piece along. It's a game of chess with the insurance companies. If you document everything and push it all in, and they don't reply, or they don't send their inspector in 14 days, and when they finally do send their inspector, you can get this all done within 45, 60 days, and you can have a demand over them before the 90 day even expires. You can push that along.
Yeah. So, dude, we got to get some training for Sky Diamonds University. We need to get you integrated into my system. Got a green room next door, and we need to put an outline together after this podcast, and so you can come back and we can really map out this whole third-party documentation training,
right?
Because really that's the secret of insurance restoration. Doesn't matter what you're doing, and it doesn't matter. Yes, you got to sell the job. Yes, you got to have the team. Yes, you got to do quality work. But if you don't get paid for it, then it
takes you years to do it. And then you end up settling because then you're desperate because you're like, man, 3 years later I can really use that money. And I'm telling you, and there's other ways to do it too, because once you do, you have an AOB and you file suit. I mean, there's financing companies out there that'll front you the money that you paid out of it while you wait for the litigation to end. I mean, they'll give you 50% and wait. There's people that'll buy those receivables. It's called factoring receivables if you have to. The only way they'll do it is with an AOB.
There's not. I got a friend of mine, Patrick Carr, My Claims Care. He's not a factorer. He is, a private lender and private investor. And he has a special program that he offers to my Sky Diamonds clients. Typically, factoring is done for 10%. It's almost too much because as the company owner, if I pay a sales commission to somebody, overhead expenses, all the different stuff, 10% might be my whole profit margin. If I factor 10%, I'm literally factoring my entire profit. And that's why many people have gone away from factoring in that regards. Yeah. But
you need to add in mitigation, where there's more. And see, that's the other thing too. You can add in either that extra tarp or that emergency mitigation, to your profile, so to speak. You know what I mean? For a roofer,
I think it's insane if you don't do it. I think temporary repairs, water mitigation, emergency services. Last year, I don't know, 8 figures, 70% profit added to the bottom line. And it was something I wasn't doing the year before. We started a solar division, but the water restoration was a lot more profitable. The emergency services, the tarping. And it started with shrink wrapping, but it's evolved into basically TPO layovers. And
that's nice.
And I mean, that's just the new thing.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when
people are going crazy with it. $4 a foot for
the insurance
for
companies
blue
don't like that,
and $7 for white. I mean, it was crazy what people were charging after the hurricane, man. Especially our Hurricane Michael was insane. But years later, now they're all getting paid with it or at those prices. I don't know what it is now.
Well, think about these guys in Texas, okay? They're roofers. They're coming across these claims. You know, to me, if I were you and I was in Texas, I was dealing with this, I would hook up with a restoration company.
Oh, yeah.
You know, dealing with all the headache and the responsibility of making sure that someone doesn't have mold when you're a roofing contractor and not certified is probably not a good risk.
They're different in Texas, man. There's mold laws over 25 square feet, and it's all permitted, so it's a totally different animal. So water mitigation is going to be important and key.
Talk to them about that.
Yeah, so you don't want to get. I mean, you want to dry out the building ASAP because you don't want to, especially if you're coming from a different state, to set up and be licensed for mold over 25 square feet is an act of Congress. So you're going to have to dry it out. You have to get rid of just not create an environment for mold, and that's going to be key for everybody. Get in there dry, cut and gut, and get out of there, and clean everything, get ready, and I think that's where people are going to make their money. We talked about offline too. How are they going to get paid? Who's guaranteeing this payment too? Right. So then maybe you're going to need to bring an attorney with you, because I mean, that's the thing, is if the homeowner can't pay you and they can't afford to pay you, you can't set them up with financing. They have crappy credit, whatever. They have their insurance policy. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? You're going to do your letter of protection. That's the only way you're going to do it. Service authorization in Texas with a direction to pay, because there's no AOB laws and there's no attorney's fees in Texas. So meaning that the insured would have to, it would have to come out of their indemnity, and you're not going to come out of your invoice for it. So you're going to have the homeowner hire an attorney and use their insurance policy to get paid if they have insurance.
So if you want to just basically refer the clients to somebody that can give a guarantee that there's not going to be mold and get them in the dry, your best chance is not building the water restoration company overnight. It takes not only experts like Richie to help you get through it, but you got to have certified technicians.
Yep.
And there's a lot more to it than you think. And so the only reason why I end up doing that job myself was it was kind of like a I'd say medium. It was kind of drying on its own, and the people weren't all putting tons of pressure on me. And
take your time.
Yeah, I'd take my time, and wasn't a lot of pressure. And then I'm patient enough to wait for the insurance to pay, and by the time it's done, it's going to be worth the wait. I know if you're watching this and you're an owner, I call hitting these large loss projects the blue collar lottery, because there's almost, if I'm doing $100 million in roofs and making 10 to 15% profit, that's like, after I pay sales reps and overhead expenses, at best 15 million cash. But I could probably go out this hurricane season and land $30 million worth of commercial work. A lot of that's emergency services. A lot of that's going to get paid out over a 2-year period. Yep. But I might end up making the same fucking amount of money running a low overhead, focusing on one job, one client. Now, each timeline takes times, but what better deposit in the bank is there than AOBs and rights to those multi-million-dollar claims?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that's paper that you're just building up, and you have to have longevity in the industry. It's hard to just be a pop-up and try to work in the insurance realm. I tell everybody all the time, they're like, oh man, you might be crushing it or whatever. You're super busy. I'm like, yeah, but I started in 2013. I grinded as hard as I could. I took out loans on my house. I didn't pay myself for a long time. It was just like, you really have to build up that pipeline. And just like in sales, when you come in,
how'd you start this company? Give me the idea, because this is kind of novel, and that just, you would be a report provider. What were you doing before that?
I had a pest control company before this, and so it was a family company. I sold it, and I decided to do and the law change just went over. I was doing like little mold inspections, little pump jockey stuff for apartment complexes that we had a lot of accounts for, and so I'd kind of do that for them on the side. Then the law changed in 2012. We have to have this license to be a licensed mold remediator or mold assessor in Florida over 10 square feet. So it's like, okay. So I was like, so let me keep this little company. And it was called Florida Air Quality Assessors. They said that's the investors I sold it to. I said, fine, just change the name. So I took Florida, put it on the end. Air Quality Assessors of Florida was born. And then I was just tired of being like, the water mitigation guys were hiring me and says, hey, I need this low cost, like mold inspection quick. And I was like, okay, you've seen the model, right? Good, fast, cheap, pick two. That kind of thing. So, it was always good. It's always fast, just not really the cheapest. But whenever all the invoices started piling up, these guys started telling me, said, hey, we didn't get paid on all these claims. These mitigation companies, we'll pay you on this claim because we got paid on this one, but this one we didn't. This one, I'm like, what the fuck you mean? Like, I'm waiting on you to pay me? They're like, yeah, because we add your invoice, add overhead and profit, and we turn it into the insurance company. We get denied, we can't pay you. I'm like, hold on. So that right there was just a light that went off and said, listen, I love the volume you're giving me, but I need to get fucking paid. So I said, maybe I want to know how you guys are doing. Well, we're using an AOB. I'm like, well, why can't I use it? And he's like, well, you're not a contractor. So I was like, so I can't use one? They said, no. So I called up State Farm. It was actually State Farm to give me I called them up and I said, hey, I heard you guys will pay my bill if I send you the contract. They said, yeah, sure, send it to me. Sent him this 5-page contract. It was a contract between me and the homeowner. Had no assignment language in it at all. I said, we can't pay you on this. I said, why not? It's not an AOB. So what's an AOB? So I searched it. I literally Googled it. Harvey Cohen's name, a little face popped up, and I copy and pasted his and went down there. And thank you, Harvey. And I went down there, had the lady sign it, went back to my office, a little 84 square foot office, and I sent them the first one. And the next day, they sent out the payment.
Oh, nice.
It was like a boom.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. So you didn't have to be a contractor to do it. I did it wrong in the beginning because I took a full encompassing AOB, and they said there's multiple. So I had to fight the multiple assignment. So if somebody came in and took an AOB before me, that no rights were left to give to me. And so I had to fight that. On my wall, I have a 2014 order that I beat the multiple assignment law or a rule or whatever it is. And so ever since then, we've been chugging along, kind of really grazing the path of being able to come in as an assessment company to be able to charge and bill for services under the policy. It should be. It's there.
Yeah, because if every single roof that I did required an engineer to pay up front, I'd be paying about, what, $5,000 a report?
Well, I wish I could get that much. No, I mean, you'd be paying a couple grand each one.
2 or 3?
Yeah, depending on the size. You're going to start it. You're going to start it at $2,000.
How many roof reports you done for me?
A shit ton.
Yeah.
A shit ton.
Yeah.
So
I probably got 500 in
you owe me $1 million right now.
Do I?
Where's your checkbook? No, I'm just saying. But if I didn't have the AOB, right?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm able to go and do that and say, hey, listen, I'm going to fight this fight with you. Mm-hmm. You don't get paid. They don't get paid. Nobody gets paid, even me. So I'm taking the risk on. Mm-hmm. That's a whole other fight too, because insurance companies, when they finally got through this, hey, we're going to pay your water mitigation reports and we're going to pay your mold stuff. Now they're like fighting me so hard on the engineering. They say it's not compensable under the policy. Well, show me where it's excluded from the policy is what I'm telling them. Mm-hmm. So we're really fighting that battle right now, still even in court. So far I'm doing really well on proving that point. I just kind of like to tell everybody, unless you're doing what I do, don't fucking do what I do. And let me get through that.
I know because you're
first.
taking a risk. Like so you're telling me some of these deals they won't pay you on?
Yeah, I mean, if any large loss that I've done since Hurricane Mike, I only settled one so far.
Where you build it directly.
Yeah.
So thank God I paid you cash on mine.
Hell yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's what
I was like, dude, I know this is going to take a while.
Oh my God.
I need service.
Yeah. So
cash buyer.
That's it. And we jump on those for sure. But I mean, think about it though. I mean, I at any time have over $20 million out on outstanding AOBs at any given time. And, and it's not a bragging right because I'd rather have that in my bank account. Mm-hmm. So, but it's just because I'm taking this on, and hope to God it works, So
well, that's a cool thing. Like I said, it's a consumer protection rule that we will actually
be
educated advocates that have their best interests, that are able to go serve them, that will invest into their client. Like that big job I'm talking about, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that I made, and we service their job to make sure it doesn't leak.
Yeah.
They're going
to recommend you to their neighbor. They're going to recommend you to everybody. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's how it works.
If you're a contractor and you don't have water restoration and a skill, really, I think the benefit of getting Richie to create a course for Sky Diamonds University is that you could educate yourself. You could tap into the network. There's a whole bunch of restoration guys that are in my network. If you're in Texas, I can hook you up with one. Doesn't matter where you're at in the country, I can hook you up with one. And, the bottom line is roofers should know restoration, just like roofers should know solar, so that they can have these different avenues of income. For me, on these hurricanes, going behind Belfour and fighting with the Serve Pros and the Restore Ones and the some of the other big guys that have the big setups, the big trucks, the big equipment. Look, it's been the last 4 hurricanes that I've been the little roof scrub running around. But the truth is next time around, we're coming in with our own semi truck and trailers. We're coming in with our own setup and equipment. And, it's probably a learning curve when it comes to everything else, running multiple large restoration projects. I don't really want to do it residentially, but I am going to do it on the big jobs, and I know I can sell them. And I've already done it once. I just need to scale it and do it, 20, 30 more times this year, and 20, 30 large, emergency services. Hurricane blows off a hotel roof, an HOA roof. There's water coming in the building. There's 128 families that are depending on me to make the water stop from coming in and dry out the building. Many people are dealing with that in Texas right now. That's what we're talking about. That skill, doesn't matter what business you're in, it's the ability to print millions of dollars. Now, there's risk involved. You have to wait. You have to fight the toughest negotiators in the world. But for the few and the proud, there are incredible spoils. To the victor goes the spoils. And, this year I know I'm going to do $50 million in extra, restoration work that I didn't do last year because, when I see stuff like if Restore One can do it, if fucking ServPro can do it, if Belfour can do it, Lee Haight can fucking do it. Yeah. And if you're watching this, I've seen other companies like Restore Masters, Matt Irvin, Justin, really step their restoration game up, their large loss commercial division up. Do you ever do any work with those guys?
Some of those guys.
See, Restore Masters is one that I need to personally make sure that you are doing business with. They don't do as much residential volume as me, but they're in Florida all the time doing tons of commercial, and they're real good guys. Justin and Matt, they've done $100 million in commercial roofs recently, like claims, like they're in the process. They're one of the fastest growing roofing and restoration companies, but they're in our network, and they would really greatly benefit from your service. They might even help us out with this cause to keep the law, man. And if you're watching this, you're a Florida contractor, man. We need to join forces. You need to write me in the comments or DM, and I'll show you how you can help the cause.
Absolutely.
What are the questions?
How do you find out about AOC, AOB in states that don't have public adjusters?
All right, so I'll answer this. So, what my research is, especially in the Southeast, as far as AOCs, AOBs, they cannot restrict the post-loss assignment of benefits. So I'm doing AOBs in Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee.
Places where people say you can't.
Right. Well, right. And so Texas is a little finicky because over $50,000 is a whole other snafu of fuckness that I don't even want to get into.
Snafu of fuckness. Bomb drop. I love that.
I'm not even going to dip a toe in any of that shit just because there's recourse with that if you don't fucking have the football right there. So I'm like, I'm not even touching it. So Mississippi, Alabama, those states, they cannot restrict the post-loss assignment of benefits. They just don't have the attorney fee kicker. Because like right now, you can hire a company like KP, or Cohen or anybody like that, and they can jump on your AOB and they can they can build or they get their money after everything is sued or after everything is settled. No money out of indemnity. Where am I going with this? Is that in those states, your AOB, you're gonna have to share that with an attorney. So that's why I brought on in-house counsel, because then I told my in-house counsel, guess what? You're going to get licensed in Georgia, and then from there, because Florida doesn't play well with the other states, and then you'll get all the other states by order. So she's actually taking her exam coming in like June. So we're going to be worst case scenario, you're going to have to sue in your own name to be effective. Either that or this AOB can then join and turn into, if the homeowner or the policyholder files suit, then you can bring that in.
Let me explain a way I've done it in the past, and you tell me if this is wrong or right. In the past, I had a commercial client. Let's say he was referred to me. It was a Korean business owner with lots of properties. It was, ACV policies. I was a little concerned with it. So I had a limited power of attorney written up. And of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an attorney.
Right.
There's all of these rules about acting like an attorney and things.
Right.
And
especially outside of Florida, you got to worry about POAs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, but on this deal in particular, I signed him up on the Texas two-step. First, contingency agreement. Give me permission to talk to this insurance company right here. Contingent upon proof of sign right here. Okay, boy, no more than your deductible right here.
That's it.
But then we brought the limited power of attorney in and got it signed.
And this is Texas.
Yeah, the guy wanted to cancel later on and couldn't get out of it. So it was just the fear of having it. We didn't have to go.
They can't kill a POA. I thought in Texas you can kill your POA, and then you have no standing.
Well, the guy never pressed on me. So you might tell me it was wrong, but it was just the idea that he knew he signed a document that said limited power of attorney. He knew that he really didn't want to try that in the whole process.
Yeah.
And so
because if he got a lawyer, he could get out of that in 2 seconds. And that's my only issue is like using the POA, because that you can do that here in Florida too. But it's like I don't know, man. There's just, like I said, dude, that homeowner is going to wake up one day, or OC is going to somehow get in their head, and they're going to be like, all you have to do is this, and then they're boom, and they file this. Whatever.
So
this cancellation.
Limited power of attorney does not work.
Right. No, because
Okay.
they can cancel the homeowner or the policyholder. They can cancel that at any time.
So
an AOB you can't. Once it's set in.
So
it's
you
done.
would do a service agreement and an AOB in these states where the AOB is not recognized?
Outside of Texas, I would just sign and anywhere else sign an AOB, a one-page AOB or an AOC. In Florida, you have that two-pager because you have to do that other that stuff
Right.
pursuant to the new statute. But outside of Florida, I just use a one-page. Like in Georgia, I use it. Now I have our lawyer. They call up and say, hey, we can do everything except for collect unless you're there licensed in Georgia. So and then we're able to still collect on these engineering ones, and so our money doesn't come out of the indemnity for the homeowner.
Guys, if you're enjoying this, dude, Richie's a wealth of knowledge. He's going to be at the Blue Collar American Dream Conference. He's going to be down there buying you drinks. We got Live Nightclub on Saturday night. It's going to be the best conference, the best venue, the best speakers.
That's going to be awesome.
Look, dude, you want to future-proof growth. You want to add a restoration division. You want to add a solar division. You want to add a door-to-door vision. Even if you're a home service contracting, learning how to get insurance money, that's recession-proof, baby.
That is.
It pays all the time, and it pays at higher profits, so everyone can benefit from what I call sky diamonds, when the money falls from the sky, and even in the form of icicles, okay? And it is somewhat a very dirty job. Somebody's got to do it, though. Coming up, helping people in their worst time and making their property back to normal, give them calm after the storm, is actually a good thing.
That's right.
We're not out there trying to do anything except for invest into people, help them out during their toughest times. And so at the Blue Collar American Dream Conference, you're going to learn this shit. You're going to learn also how to advertise on social media, how to build a sales teams, how to sell commercial jobs. You're going to get real contractors that have used my system to double, triple, quadruple sales, 8-figure guys, some guys on the way to 9 figures, and these guys may teach you more than like fancy speakers. It's going to be a great venue where Thursday night we're doing networking. There's drinks coming in. We got like literally 3 hours of drinking Fridays the whole time. And if you're a VIP, if you upgrade, you get food, drinks, handshakes with all the speakers. So go to bluecollarconference.com right now. We already sold this thing out once. Now we only have like I think about 80 tickets left. They
Nice.
allowed me to count my employees, the RCA guys, and the sponsors not as attendees. So I'm going to have probably about 650. The room's built for 1,000. But due to COVID restrictions, we can only have 500 attendees. So guys, you don't want to miss this, and maybe it's my fault that you hadn't heard about it, or maybe you've been following, thinking about if this is worth your time. But these conditions that have happened right now of tons of water restoration happening in Dallas Fort Worth, it ought to awaken you, maybe if you're in that area, to a new way to make money that could be in addition to what you're doing. If you're a regular contractor, dude, we're just touching the surface, and maybe this sounds like a bunch of spaceship talk, but look, at the conference, we're going to be talking about real shit that's applicable to all contractors, not just insurance guys. And that's what's going to be unique about this event, is there's a healthy mix of door-to-door guys, home service contractors, insurance restoration guys, and storm chasing roofers, retail roofers, big mix. So guys, go to bluecollarconference.com, get your ticket upgrade to VIP before it's too late. Richie, how can they find you, man? How can they get a hold of you?
Man, all right. So we talked a little bit about the Nonprofit Association, Restoration Association of Florida.
Let me see that thing.
Yeah. It's raflorida.org. Not to be confused with like the unemployment office somehow. These fuckers, they keep calling every day, and they I didn't misplace my. I guess our website is very similar. So it's raflorida.org. We're nonprofit association for Florida, protecting the rights of independent contractors in the state of Florida. Info at raflorida.org is the best. Right now, I'm just kind of right into this legislation, which is just like I said. I made a PowerPoint presentation. I print that out there, and then the bills are behind there, which are the bills that could be could pass into law, which would change the way we all do business. It would change how homeowners would be able to collect their invoice, because now, even if the homeowners could owe the insurance company money if they hire a bad or an incompetent attorney, meaning if the attorney files suit and they get under 20% under this new law of what the recoverable amount is, they could be on the hook for attorney's fees and costs for both their attorney and the other attorney.
You got to hook me up with a platinum membership, dude. I'm going to support the Restoration Association of Florida. Everyone should, doesn't matter what state you're in. These laws, they're going to spread into your place. Look, Florida is the land of milk and honey when it comes to insurance, but it's also the land of milk and honey because the roofs are fucking huge, the people are fucking rich. Just because the insurance companies are getting tougher don't mean I ain't going to keep making money, making it rain like a hurricane every fucking year here in Florida. We can become the largest roofing company in the world, re-roofing all the people's homes here in Florida.
I'm telling you, Florida is such, I mean, you don't have to have a hurricane. You got hail storms popping up. You got all these vortexes of wind coming up. You give me 50 mile per hour or more in a certain area, I'll get you, if there's damages on there, an evaluation for a roof system. And if more than 25% is damaged on there, again, if one tile is broken and you have to, as you know, you have to lift and turn these up to get them all the way out, and you're still going to have breakage. You have to go all the way up to that ridge. If that goes over 25% by Florida building code, you have to replace the whole entire roof system. You need a licensed engineer to be able to say that.
Richie is literally my cheat code when it comes to the beginning of the process. Look, the insurance companies
I get so many text messages. What's a storm date for this area? Non-hurricane or whichever, man. Fucking use me for a resource. I'll send you saying you want Naples. I give you 3 dates. And really, like I tell you, know the policy period in which the homeowner lived there. If they moved in there 2 fucking weeks ago, don't sign them up. If they've been there for 5 years, it's a good, and they've had the same insurance company.
There was a 120 mile an hour report in Boca from Ida.
Yeah.
There was.
I have to double check to look for that. I don't know if those are that strong.
Crazy.
I don't know if it's that strong, but like I said, if you give me some wind vortexes over 50 to 60, it's going to do damage. It's going to cause a chattering effect, okay? So I have these in my reports as well as a repair plan and now a permit to help get the repairs done in the right way. So you get all this stuff.
Why having an engineer report so good for the insured?
Man, I'm telling you, if you don't have it, the insurance company is always going to call their engineer. And like I tell them, as soon as it's like people want to ask, like, when do I call you out? It's as soon as you hear the words, I'm sending out my expert or I'm sending out my whichever from the insurance company. Okay, cool. You have an expert? So do we. And we come out. It's no cost. We bill straight to the insurance company. And it's going to, the roof evaluation report, if we say by a licensed engineering firm that there's damages created from the high vortex wind loading of this specific storm, and it's over 25%, they're going to have to pay the roof. It's just, it is what it is. So, do we have some questions popping up? Do we want to bring up?
Same guy.
What do you say?
Where do you get AOB, AOC contracts that meet the state law that you're working in specifically in Arkansas?
I've got one for Louisiana. I can send them. Send me an email, info@raflorida.org. info@raflorida.org, and we'll reply to that with some contracts. I've got a good contract for I got a service auth with it's like kind of a hybrid. It's a service authorization direction to pay with a kicker if the insurance company doesn't pay, the homeowner has to hire an attorney of choice by the contractor, and then it becomes a letter of protection. So if you're kind of worried about using the AOB outside of Florida, now I can get you one. Arkansas is another great state. They actually did he say Arkansas? Did you say Arkansas? Well, shit, they actually have AOB over there. They're another big windshield state as well. The big windshield states also are great AOB states because it kind of goes hand in hand. So Arkansas, actually, I can send him a basic AOC that's fucking bulletproof. It's great, and he can use that for that state. I would still have an attorney look at it in Arkansas just to make sure, because if they're going to defend it, it's just good thing to do. Just make sure the person defending your AOB potentially
You're going to be the new
it.
AOB, AOC fucking third-party damage expert in Sky Diamonds, Richie, man. Thanks for coming here and doing this podcast, brother.
Yeah.
Look forward to collaborate, dominate. Can't wait to see you at the event there, man.
Absolutely.
And, maybe you can bring Les along because we'll be showing some of his
I'll bring
video
him.
up there.
Oh, man, got to work. He got to get out there.
Yeah, man,
show some
come out
love.
there and shake some hands, man. Have some fun at the Fountain Blue Live nightclub. They've been shutting that thing off. That's where all the stars hang out and everything. But
yeah. I haven't been there, PC,
really?
Post-COVID.
Oh, yeah. Post-COVID is a little different affair. We're going to be doing like steak, sit down, little different little environment. Got some special surprises, some special celebrity guests. So y'all want to make sure you don't miss out at the Blue Collar Conference. Go to bluecollarconference.com. I got to run. I got to go to kids' baseball practice. But hope y'all have a great day.
All right. Thanks.